Okay, so am I calling you Coach Capel Peeps or just Coach Capel?
Call me whatever you want.
Hey, Coach Capel, Jen Lois, Three Chicks in a Pod and New Stitch Media. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you for asking. So, just same questions I just asked, Coach Keats. What was your favorite moment last year?
My favorite moment was just watching our guys come together. And to get off to a rocky start and to see that camaraderie and the commitment to each other and what we were doing, to see that remain intact, and then to see what that turned into, which was a very, very special season for our program.
And with SMU, Cal, Stanford joining next year, what are you looking forward to the most for this coming season?
I'm just looking forward to us hopefully building off of what we were able to accomplish last year, getting better as a program, each kid getting better individually, us getting better collectively, starting out with hopefully we can have a really good non-conference and that will help prepare us for a tough league schedule.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate it.
In the other room, we talked about how this roster has a lot of height and a lot of physicality on it. You know, the ACC is a conference that has a lot of really talented centers this year, like DJ Burns, How does that help you against those guys?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we have a lot of physicality. That's an area but we have a lot of height.
How does that height help you?
Yeah, it helps us. It helps us. I mean, you know, Federico, I thought he was one of the better defenders in our league last year. I know I'm biased. I think I voted for him for Defensive Player of the Year. And I thought his impact went well beyond just to block shots. And when you have a big guy like him that can defend ball screens like he can, that can defend the post one-on-one like he was able to do for the majority of the year, that's a big plus. I do think we certainly have more size than we had last year. I think out of our guys that I would anticipate would be in the rotation, I think the smallest one is Jalen Lowe, who's like 6'1". Everyone else is like 6'4" and above. So that gives us some versatility, some different things that hopefully we'll be able to do defensively.
Have you been in contact with Coach Shire at all? I mean, obviously you have Duke connections and you're close with Coach K. Is that something Coach Shire as well?
Yeah, John and I worked together for 5 years, I think, 4 years, 5 years. So yeah.
You talked in the other room just about some of the pieces last year that just came together. How do you think that your backcourt's coming together now? Like you're gonna have to play young guys, and I think that's pretty obvious. But you have to like some of those, kid like Jalen from a good basketball family, things like that. There's a lot of positivity there.
Yeah, I love them. I love my backcourt. I mean, it's different because we're young, but they're talented. They're eager to learn. I think they're unbelievable teammates, and I think they have a very, very high ceiling. I love the fact that because they're coaches' sons and because they've been around in a gym their whole life, they're gym rats, and they want to learn. They're eager to learn. And when you have that, then you have a chance, especially when you're talented. The other thing that they have is that they have some really good older guys. Ish is a really good older guy. He's a really good player, but more importantly, he's a really good kid and an unbelievable teammate. Blake is certainly that way. The twins are that way. And so I don't want them to feel like they have to do it themselves, but they do have to grow up very quickly.
So follow to that, is there a learning curve for those young players on ball screen defense? I mean, you mentioned it, you guys were one of the best teams in the country, not just the league, in that area last year. I mean, is there, with so much happening now in the pick and roll in today's game, is there a steep learning curve for freshmen in that area?
It's a learning curve for them everywhere,
yeah.
Just because everything is different. The speed, the physicality, the size, the showing up every day. Normally when you're a really good high school player, and all the guys at this level are really good high school players, you're normally the best player on your team, so sometimes you don't have to play as hard. There's not really many big guys. So there's a learning curve all over, especially ball screen defense, because of how hard you have to play defensively, and then the physicality to defend the ball screen, to develop the mindset that I'm not going to be screened. To me, those are the guys that are the better defenders. You just have a mindset, I'm not going to get screened. Sometimes it takes a while for you to do that. I was able to play a lot as a freshman, when I was in school. And that took me a while to learn that side of it. But I knew in order for me to play, I had to learn that side of it because I wasn't going to play. And I wanted to play. They want to play. They want to be really good. And so they're willing and eager to learn and to put in the work.
You appear to put together another ambitious non-conference schedule. Did you take much from what Kevin Powell talked to you all about at the time? Did it influence you at all? And do you think that what he said to the collective group will help the conference?
Well, I hope it will. I mean, look, the thing that has to happen, we have to win in the non-conference. I mean, as a league. And before last year, we were on the other side of it, where we were probably one of the teams that was hurt in the league. And it wasn't that we were trying to, we weren't able to win, and we had some bad losses. Collectively as a league, we have to be able to win those games. You have to schedule properly, and you have to win. I wouldn't say that we tried to put a difficult, we always try to put a schedule together that we think will help us. We did that this year. Obviously, the West Virginia series was intact before I took the job. So you had that. We always want to play in an MTE, so we had an opportunity to do that, where we play against Florida, and then we'll either play Baylor or Oregon State. And then we go from the Big Ten Challenge to the SEC Challenge down, and we'll play against a really good Missouri team. Because we were pretty good. Now they match you up with someone that's pretty good. It just happened last year that, the year before we were really bad. Northwestern was really bad. We played each other. We both ended up being pretty good. But look, all these games are hard now. I think that's the thing that a lot of people that aren't in it don't realize, because there's so much more parity now than there ever was because of the transfer portal, because of NIL. There's so much more parity, and so some of these mid-major or low-major teams that you may not know about, the average person doesn't know about, can be pretty dang on good. I mean, we saw it last year with Florida Atlantic and the run that they had. And so scheduling is hard, winning is hard, but as a league, we have to do it in order to get more than 5 teams into the tournament.
You and I are old enough to remember the ACC tournament. It was 3. Now it's 5. 18 teams, but it would go to 6.
Yeah.
Jim Phillips said that he would prefer not to go to 6. There'd be a cutoff. So, any thoughts on that?
As a coach, I wouldn't like that, because I just think it's something magical about, and it's one of the things that makes our sport so great, college basketball, is because the hope of the postseason. One of the greatest stories ever in college basketball is the 1983 NC State team. And if they weren't able to make the ACC tournament, you never would have had that magic. You never would have had that moment of the greatest air ball in the history of college, in the history of basketball, turning into what it turned into. To see Coach Valvano running around and doing all that stuff. I mean, I was 8. That's one of my favorite memories of that. But if all the teams didn't get in, you wouldn't have had that. So I hope that doesn't happen. I hope all of them, if we got to go to 6, we have to go to 6. You have to be able to change and evolve. And every league is going to be expanding. And I just hope that doesn't happen.
I want to ask you about transfers and freshmen. You have several freshmen year long transfers. The numbers, though, we see a lot of recruiting classes where it's 4 transfers and 2 freshmen coming in. More of the older guys and taking up spots that used to go to freshmen. Is that just because of the extra year of eligibility still lingering around? Is that a sign that freshmen are de-emphasized in a sense, unless you're the tippy top, because it's easier to get a more experienced guy in the portal? What do you think?
Well, I think it just depends on who you are as a program and what, as a coach, as a coaching staff, of what you prioritize. I think it's always like a fit and a need. I think there are more options now with that because of the portal, because of the extra year. Is this the last year for like the extra? So I think
Last
that,
COVID year,
yeah, the last COVID year. So I think you have all of that, but I don't think the transfer thing will decrease even after the COVID year is done. Just because I just think what it does, it gives you more options. You know, it used to be it was just freshmen, it was just high school kids or JUCO kids. If you transferred, you had to sit, and so sometimes you wouldn't do that. Now there are just more options, and it just depends on you as a coach, you as a program, how you feel like you can make your team better.
Do you think, in that sense, though, transfers, you can go get a 21-year-old guy who's stronger and more developed than an 18-year-old.
experienced.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that just more valuable in today's game, and that will remain the case?
I think it is. I think it all depends on need. If you have a veteran team coming back, then maybe you want a freshman. You know, because maybe you talk to them in recruiting like, yeah, you're going to wait your turn. You're going to be good. But we have these older guys and we're going to lose them after a year, and then they can go and you'll play, but then now it'll be your turn. If you have a younger team, or if you feel like you're a team that you're one player away from making the tournament or being really good, you're probably going to go get a transfer, an older guy, unless you can get a top 10 guy, top 10 high school kid, or a guy that you know, okay, this guy's a pro. So it really just, to me, it just kind of depends. And it's different, but for me, I try to find positives and stuff, and it just gives you more options as a coach, as a program.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, one of the portal tampering keeps coming up with a lot of coaches. What do you see when you're out, when you hear from your players about people contacting them, hey, interest somewhere else? Like, how prevalent do you think it is?
I don't think it's changed. It's always been there. The portal hadn't changed. That was there before. You know what I mean? Like, everyone wants to make a big deal about the portal with it. And maybe it's more just because you can get a guy right now. But look, these things have been happening, man. This is the nature of our business. I'm not saying it's right. It's not right. It sucks. But it's not anything that's new. My hope is that we have guys that they want to, like, hopefully you're good. If you're good, then they want your guys. Like, there are a lot of people that want to play. And he told us about it and the stuff that was happening. He never went into the portal. But we knew about it, and it may not be the school that's doing it. It may be, you know, an agent. It may be them going through someone else, an AAU coach or whatever. You know, I turned into our league a couple of years ago. You know, there was an agent with Justin Champagny when he was thinking about going pro, which he eventually did. But his mom sent me a letter, an agent sent her, about going through his draft prospects and where they thought he'd be drafted. And at the end of it is, if you go back to college, you should transfer. That's not right. And we turned that in. Nothing happened. And so this is not different. You just hopefully have a good enough relationship with your guys where they can be transparent and they'll tell you what's going on, and then hopefully you can get a little bit lucky.
Post-expansion, would you prefer the 20 conference games or curve it back to 18 and give you more flexibility?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because when the league was at 18, you were getting more teams in all the time. You really got to 5 when you started going from 20.
Praise for what you want.
And so, yeah, I would be for what collectively as a group we think is best for our league to help us get more teams in the NCAA tournament. I think it's ridiculous that we've only gotten 5 in the past couple of years, especially when you look at the success we have in the tournament. Like, I thought Clemson was as good as anyone last year, and they were a team if they made the NCAA tournament. I think they would have won in the tournament. I think they could have made a run. And so I'm for whatever will help us get more have a chance to get more teams into the NCAA tournament.
Maybe that's a power question too.
Maybe it is. I don't know. I know. Big Ten has that joint figured out.
Right? Jeff, Coach Hamilton said earlier one of the things he's proudest of is somebody who's like you've been around the ACC for a while, even longer than you, you know? He said just a number of black head coaches now. Looking around the league, he said, I was marching for my players a couple years ago, and now there's more people that look like me coaching. Is that something that gives you a lot of pride?
Incredible pride. I'm grateful to the people in positions of power, the ADs, college presidents and chancellors, the board members that gave myself and the other black coaches opportunities. Is something we don't take for granted. I'm grateful that our league, is for that, is doing that. Where I think it's 9 black coaches in the league. Now we have to win. That's the reality. We have to win to hopefully open up more opportunities. Coach Thompson had to win. Coach Chaney had to win. Richardson had to win to open up opportunities for my dad and for other black coaches. And that's what has to happen now. We've got to win. And I know all the coaches in this league, white, black, whatever you are, you're talented. You don't get to be a head coach in the ACC if you're not good. And so hopefully all of us can win. The black coaches, the white coaches, hopefully we can all win so we can get more teams in the tournament.
Do you have any connections with the staffs at either Cal, Stanford, SMU?
I know Rob Lanier pretty well at SMU. At Stanford and Cal, I don't know. He's great. He's a really good coach, really good guy. I think he'll do an unbelievable job at SMU, and I think them coming to the ACC, I think it'll really help them. It's going to help all three, but I think it's really going to help them because you're in a hotbed of talent in the Dallas DFW area. They have a lot of money. A lot. And I think that was the thing, their league affiliation that maybe was holding them back as far as recruiting. And Rob has done a great job recruiting. And the guy before him did as well. Tim did it before him as well. And but I think it'll help all three of them.
Jeff, you went through the recruiting process as a player, assistant coach, now as a head coach. In the age of the NIL, how have you seen the process change? What changes have you seen in the process?
Well, the biggest change is that the majority of these kids have agents now, so that's a big change. And there are more people involved in their process now than there were 10 years ago. Certainly back. I'm old now, but it's I would say the involvement of agents. I think these kids and their families, I think that they are smarter is not the word. I think they're more aware that this is a business now. Certainly back when I played, and even maybe 10 years ago, just especially with the NIL piece.
Do you feel like you made a statement last year with how good the team was?
I don't know if it was a statement, and we were just trying to be good. So I think we proved to ourselves, we proved to our program, and we learned what it takes to be good. And hopefully we can take those same things that we've learned and apply them to this year's group and become really good again.
Because you got like a win streak going against Carolina. And Armando, he said earlier, like, he went forward to play Pitt because you seem like you got an answer for him.
We've been fortunate that we've played well against North Carolina. I have so much respect for that program. Like I said, I grew up in this state, and I don't know if many people know I was a Carolina fan growing up. So I have respect for Hubert, all of their players. We've just been able to maybe make a few more baskets than them the past few times, however many times we played them.
Well, you got the first game against A&T. So have you talked to your dad about that or anything?
No, my dad has a lot of, he was the head coach there for a year, took them to the NCAA tournament. I was in college then, so I didn't live there in Greensboro. They had a great run and have a lot of respect for that program. Again, growing up in it, it's one of the most historically black universities, and it's a great school, and we'll be ready to go against them.
Oh, so what's it like having your brother on your staff?
It's awesome. It's awesome. I get a chance to, I know, look, all of my staff is great, but I know it's one guy that like big time has my back, and it's been in the trenches with me, and we get a chance to do. We grew up together. He's the first best friend that I ever had, and having a chance to be around him every day and to see how good he is. That's, I knew he was a really good player, but seeing how good he is with our guys, seeing how good he is on the court, and the impact that he's had in helping these guys become really good, but just as important, helping our program grow and get better. That's probably been the coolest part.
Well, the other cool part is you get paid to boss them around.
Nah, man, I don't boss them around. We're in this together, man. So it's equal footing. I'm the guy that gets the credit sometimes when I don't deserve it. I'm the guy that gets the blame. So.
You mentioned agents involved in the recruiting process.